The first lesson left us with the brutal truth: without God, you are deterministic. You will keep sinning. You will keep hardening your heart, and you will end up where rebellion ends. That's the belt. It doesn't stop. It doesn't slow down. It doesn't work itself out. It has no pity. But here's the good news of Christ. God does not sit back wringing his hands while humanity marches to hell. He intervenes, thank God. And when he does, nothing out there, not addiction, not culture, not your own stubborn will, can keep him from pulling you off of that belt. The Bible is full of interventions. Saul of Tarsus was on his way to slaughter some more Christians, armed with authority soldiers in his own self-righteousness. And then the light of heaven dropped him flat, and a voice said, "Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me?" In 3 seconds total, his whole identity turned to ash before his eyes. Jonah thought he could run the other way too, didn't he? God sent a storm, a fish, and 3 days in its gut until the prophet, who thought he was clever, smelled like judgment, but spoke like obedience. Nebuchadnezzar, he strutted around on his roof, bragging all day and night about his mighty Babylon. And God drove him into the fields like a beast of burden, like an ox, until he finally lifted his head and confessed, "The Most High rules the kingdom of men," unquote. That's called intervention. It is sudden, it is personal, and it's not optional. Titus 2:11-12 says, "The grace of God has appeared, bringing salvation for all people, training us to renounce ungodliness and worldly passions, and to live self-controlled, upright, and godly lives," unquote. Grace isn't God giving you a hall pass while you stay on the conveyor belt to hell. Grace is God ripping you off of that belt and teaching you from scratch how to walk in a brand new way. And this isn't just dusty Bible history. John Newton captained slave ships, profiting off of chains, blood, and people's despair. In 1748, caught in a violent storm, he cried out to God. The man who once chained others in darkness was pulled off of the belt himself. And the words that spilled out years later became the anthem of freedom itself: "Amazing Grace." A gang leader sat in a prison block when a chaplain read him John 3:16. That one verse dropped him to tears. Soon, he was leading Bible studies in the very cell block he once ruled with an iron fist. Today, he's free, pulling others off that same belt he once drove. A career-obsessed woman chased money, chased titles and applause, figured out that they were lying to her. You can't have it all. Until a preacher's voice one day broke through with the words of Jesus, quote, "What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and forfeit their soul?" unquote. She walked away from that lesson and walked away from the ladder and the dog-eat-dog to rather instead walk with Jesus Christ the Lamb. And I've seen the debater too, a man steeped in sexual sin who agreed to sit in on a Bible study just to argue. He walked in smirking. He left weeping. He thought he came to spar. God came to save. God intervenes through his word, through his people, and through his power. His word cuts through like a double-edged sword. His people, they show up with inconvenient truth that won't leave you alone. And his power slams doors shut, collapses your plans, and calls you out of the destruction. You think it's bad luck at the time. Heaven calls it mercy. And here's the thing about intervention. It feels like a collision. One minute, you're running with the crowd. The next minute, you're face to face with the reality that you're wrong, God is right, and you need mercy right now. It's not comfortable. Ask Saul. Ask Jonah. Ask the thief on the cross. That thief started the day mocking Jesus with everyone else. But as he watched Jesus pray for his executioners, something snapped inside of him. He turned and whispered from that desperate place, Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. And the answer came back, today you will be with me in paradise. That's how fast the belt can stop. But not everyone wants rescue, do they? John 3:19 says, people love darkness rather than light because their works were evil. Some fight the hand of God. Some harden themselves until they can't hear his call anymore. That's the most terrifying judgment of all, isn't it? God lets you have what you want. So why does God intervene? Because he is not willing that any should perish, but that all should reach repentance. Because his love is so fierce for you that he would rather wreck your plans than watch you perish. Because his glory is displayed when rebels become worshipers. And here's the truth. When God intervenes, he's not just rescuing you from something. He's rescuing you for something. He pulls you out of darkness to plant you in the light. He rips you out of slavery to sin so that you can walk in the freedom of his kingdom in the light. And that's where we're headed next. Because it's one thing to get off the belt. It's quite another thing to learn how to stay off the belt. The liberated walk is the proof you've been set free.